Oh, blessed be the name of the Lord. I'm here again, Marner from MY CUP Ministries. I thank you guys for being here today on a Friday. It's been a crazy week. A lot of stuff been going on. So I have a full packed video today on news. We're going to be doing Israel news. We're going to do Monte, Judah. And we're going to do Dave Hodges even today. Stand Prophecy. The Blue 77 World News Report, and Lisa Haven. We got all these lined up today to share news. Weatherman Plus going to talk about the weather and the storms moving in. We've just got a lot going on all the time. I know our president was at the UN, and also the guy from Israel, Benjamin, was over at the White House. So we'll see if anyone talk about that on these reports today, because I'm sure they will. So a lot been going on. So I'm hoping you guys are not disappointed in those that believed that Yeshua was coming on the Feast of Trumpets. So I got a video I'm going to flash on the screen. I'm not going to play it, but I will put it in the description box later for some people who was very disappointed because they sold everything they had and walked away from their job and did all these crazy things. So we need to read the Word of God for what it is, okay, for what it is. Revelation and all the things in Matthew 24, Luke 21, Mark 13. We need to be really descriptive and read and study. Study to show yourselves approved and know that Yeshua is coming when the time is right, and no man know the day or the hour. But we will know the season. He said if we watching and praying, we would know. If you would have watched, the thief wouldn't have broke in and stole everything you had. So it is like, we have to watch. We have to pray. We have to pray. We have to watch. So I'm going to go ahead now and get started, guys, with a song coming from Barry and Batya and over in Israel. I love their music. And then we're going to get into the day's program. We are going to be covering Revelation 9 today. And also Christ's Kingdom of Love, coming from Maranatha. And so we're going to do it that way today, guys, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Buy my ebook if you haven't, with my testimonies, my vision of me seeing Messiah, and just a lot of testimonies in my life from the time I was a young child, in my teens, growing up. And so I put a little book together just to share with you guys. And miracles. So if you want the book, you have to write me at marner.campbell@gmail.com. If you live in the USA, Canada, and Hawaii, parts of the world there. But you can also get the ebooks in some places. China getting it, Japan getting it, I don't know. But I'm really happy for all the people that can read about my life. Read about the goodness of Yeshua. So thank you so much for all your contributions to that, because all the proceeds go to the ministry to help the widows, the orphans, the distressed pastors, and those in need in other countries, and homeless people locally. So the Son of Man Bible is available. You can go ahead and look at that as well. And also, where I'm at, I'm on the wrong, hold on a minute, guys. I might be on the wrong, make sure I'm not on the right one. That's the closing one. I'm sorry. But anyway, click subscribe, the like bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the like button, click the notification bell, okay? Fair use notices in front of you, Title 17, and this disclaimer, FBI notice. Okay, I knew that was kind of long, so that's for the next time round going out of the channel. So let me get on over here to a song that we love from... that I played it on the channel, I think, once before, but I haven't played it in a long time. So let's go ahead and listen to it. He Who Keeps, from Barry and Batya, and get into today's video. Let me go ahead and mute it out here.
השומט מצוות אלוהים this we will know that He lives in us by the Spirit He's given to us.
TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. U.S. President Donald Trump announces that it looks like a deal in Gaza has been reached. President Trump also announces that he will not accept Israeli annexation of Judea and Samaria. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserts in his address to the UN General Assembly that Jerusalem will not accept a Palestinian state. U.S. President Donald Trump will not allow Israel to assert its sovereignty over the so-called West Bank districts of Judea and Samaria. Nevertheless, in remarks to the UN Security Council, U.S. Ambassador to the world body, MY Quakes, stressed at the French-Saudi conference on pushing for Palestinian recognition earlier this week, merely emboldened the Islamist Hamas terror group, which cannot have any future governance of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip or West Bank.
Hamas stands emboldened today after that conference. We've rewarded its obstruction. We've undermined efforts to achieve peace in both the short and the long term. Unilateral recognition statements do not alter the reality on the ground. It does not alter the fact that there is not a Palestinian state to recognize. And at this point, there is no credible Palestinian partner for peace.
Despite the string of facts voiced by Ambassador Waltz, British Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs Yvette Cooper sought to defend Keir Starmer's decision to recognize the fictitious Palestinian state, claiming that it aimed to protect the viability of a two-state solution as the only path forward.
The UK's historic recognition of the State of Palestine this week is part of our commitment to peace, part of acting to protect the viability of the two-state solution as the only path to a just and lasting peace and to security for Palestinians and Israelis alike, part of rejecting extremist ideas on all sides, which involve too often fantasies of the destruction of the State of Israel or expulsion of the Palestinian population. We reject both of those.
London's top diplomat who took over the role of Foreign Secretary of State on September 5th stopped short, however, of acknowledging decades of negotiations on a two-state solution to include 5 concrete proposals to the Palestinians, all of which were outwardly rejected by both Arab and Palestinian leaders. Moreover, while Hamas is gradually but surely losing control over Gaza City, the Palestinian Authority's Fatah faction believes it should be the Palestinian actor to take over the territory it had lost to Hamas in June of 2007.
The Gaza Strip must be reunified with the West Bank under the Palestinian Authority as reaffirmed repeatedly by this Council. We call for your support to our policy of one Palestinian state, one Palestinian government, one law, and one gun.
It is important to highlight that the Palestinian Authority continues to maintain two funds under the so-called Palestinian Authority's Martyrs Fund, which is established in 2004 to provide stipends to families of terrorists killed or injured during acts of nationalistically motivated terror against Israelis, as well as a prisoners fund that delivers monthly payments to Palestinians incarcerated in Israeli jails for terror-related offenses. Separately, the Palestinian Authority has effectively lost control of much of the West Bank, particularly in the northern Samaria region, where Iran had consequently filled the vacuum via the Islamist Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Nevertheless, irrespective of reality on the ground, Western leaders that are either ignorant, indifferent, or have ulterior tactical or strategic motives continue to promote the Palestinian Authority as a viable alternative, absent any demands for much-needed reform.
We have to support financially our partner for peace. Hamas is not a partner for peace. The Palestinian National Authority is, and Israel is trying to make the collapse financially of the Palestinian National Authority.
Saudi Arabia's Foreign Minister, Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, for his part, addressed a meeting with Arab and Muslim leaders held with U.S. President Donald Trump, which focused on ending the war in the Gaza Strip.
The U.S. proposals focus on finding an end to the war in Gaza, which obviously needs to be our immediate priority. And we are very engaged with the US, and we are very grateful that the US is focused on ending the war in Gaza and finding an end to the suffering there. Obviously, that is a prerequisite to moving forward on the issue of Palestinian statehood. So I do think the two issues are complementary. We were very conscious in building the New York Declaration, in building a very clear process and very clear and practical mechanisms to translate into a future Palestinian state in a way that ensures both the rights of the Palestinians, but also for the Israelis, the security that is also their right.
The proposal that was cited by the Saudi foreign minister was later expanded on by President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, during a Q&A session at the annual summit of the Concordia.
And we had a very productive session. We presented what we call the Trump 21-point plan for peace in the Middle East and Gaza. I think it addresses Israeli concerns and as well the concerns of all the neighbors in the region, and we're hopeful and I might say even confident that in the coming days we'll be able to announce some sort of breakthrough.
Meanwhile, at the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump acknowledged that the meeting with Arab and Muslim leaders was positive, voicing his desire to see all of the 48 hostages in Hamas captivity returned promptly. Amid speculations regarding Israel's annexation of parts of the so-called West Bank have been circulating in recent days, President Trump sought to put the issue to rest.
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay?
Turning to the United Nations General Assembly, where Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed a plenum, proclaiming to the international community that Jerusalem will not grant the Palestinians a state at the expense of Israel's national security.
What you're doing is giving the ultimate reward to intolerant fanatics who perpetrated and supported the October 7th massacre. Giving the Palestinians a state 1 mile from Jerusalem after October 7th is like giving Al-Qaeda a state 1 mile from New York City after September 11th. This is sheer madness. It's insane, and we won't do it.
The Prime Minister further seized the international stage after the majority of the world has evidently forgotten the atrocities of October 7th to highlight the savagery of the Islamist Hamas and its terror affiliates.
On October 7th, Hamas carried out the worst attack on Jews since the Holocaust. They slaughtered 1,200 innocent people, including over 40 Americans and foreign nationals from dozens of countries represented here. They beheaded men. They raped women. They burnt babies alive. They burnt babies alive in front of their parents. What monsters. And these monsters took more than 250 people hostage. And those included Holocaust survivors, grandmothers and their grandchildren. Who takes hostage grandmothers and grandchildren? Hamas does. So far, we've brought home 207 of these hostages, but 48 still remain in the dungeons of Gaza. 20 of them are alive, starved, tortured, deprived of any daylight, deprived of humanity.
After dealing a devastating blow to Hamas and Iran's regional terror axis, Prime Minister Netanyahu stressed that Israel is not done yet.
We're not done yet. The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
While Prime Minister Netanyahu was making those remarks at the United Nations General Assembly in New York, in Washington, U.S. President Donald Trump announced that it looks like there is a deal on Gaza.
And it's looking like we have a deal on Gaza. And we'll let you know. I think it's a deal that will get the hostages back. It's going to be a deal that will end the war. It's going to be a deal which it's going to be peace. I think we have a deal. That'll be number 8, Peter. Not bad.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please continue to pray for the hostages in Hamas captivity, as well as for the IDF troops operating on multiple fronts, as well as for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you a Shabbat Shalom, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.
President Trump has suddenly announced his opposition to the annexation of Judea and Samaria by Israel. That was just announced yesterday after meeting with Arab and Muslim leaders. The UN, in its annual meeting this year, has decided to pass a non-binding resolution declaring a Palestinian state led by France and the United Kingdom. And the Houthis have launched a couple of drone attacks on the city of Eilat. Several people were injured. Israel did retaliate. Messianic World Update begins now. Shalom everyone, I'm Monte Judah with Lion and Lamb Ministries. Welcome to Messianic World Update. Today's date is Friday, September 26th of the year 2025, and here's the news for the week. All this week, leaders have been coming into New York getting ready for the annual meetings at the United Nations. Yesterday, Trump met with a series of Arab and Muslim leaders. They brought up a concern about something that we've been discussing for many weeks, and that is Israel has been talking about annexing the West Bank, the Judea and Samaria areas of Israel. Well, apparently they got to Trump. Trump tended to agree with him that that shouldn't happen, even though it's been discussed repeatedly, openly, for the last several weeks. Here's what the president said in his opposition to the annexation at the press conference.
Yeah, please, behind you.
Quickly on Gaza, did you promise leaders this week that you would not allow Israel to annex the West Bank? And is that something that you...
I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow it. It's not going to happen.
Did you speak with Netanyahu about this directly?
Yeah, but I'm not going to allow it. Whether I spoke to him or not, I did. But I'm not allowing Israel to annex the West Bank. There's been enough. It's time to stop now, okay? We have great relationships with a lot of countries. And you may be even more happy when you find out, because we spoke with Bibi Netanyahu today, and we spoke to all the leaders in the Middle East, who are great people, and we're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza, and maybe even peace, which would be the first time in about, what, 2,000 years, I think? In the region, I'd say the first in, Steve, what would you say, first in 2,000 years, or maybe 1,000?
So, 2 millennium.
It's...
If you needed to get excited about something new in your life, come here, because God surely showed up at Life Service.
I would. The president specifically said, quote, "I will not allow Israel to annex the West Bank. No, I will not allow, not going to happen. There's been enough. It's time to stop now," end quote. Exactly what the president thinks he's doing, I'm not quite sure, but I can tell you this, it's as obvious as the nose on your face that President Trump wants to win a Nobel Peace Prize. And so he's looking for every ally he can get, will agree to that, and this is a way of getting the Arab nations, the Muslim nations, to agree to that he's trying to maintain peace in the world. The next question is, what is Israel going to do? Because Likud is urging Netanyahu to declare the annexation, and they have previously, Netanyahu has previously said, if the UN passes the Palestinian state resolutions, they will just go right ahead and annex the areas that would have been for a Palestinian state. Here in the United States, we have 178 House Democrats that also oppose the position of Israel annexing the West Bank. We already kind of knew that because those House Democrats are opposed to Israel on virtually everything there is. Netanyahu, after visiting the UN, is scheduled to go to the White House and to discuss all of these issues, including annexation as well as the war in Gaza. Arab leaders have said that annexing Samaria and Judea is a red line to them, and that they've threatened no more regional integration talks if Israel does it. Well, that's one of the mainstays of the Trump administration, is to have those integration talks. Trump also has a new plan for Gaza and the end of the war. He announced at the same press conference yesterday that he's close to getting some kind of a deal done. Best as we can understand, it's a 21-point plan, and Trump is pressuring Netanyahu to let go, to allow Israel to go with the plan that he has put together. The plan, interestingly enough, does not require Hamas to disarm or Gaza to become a demilitarized zone at the end of the war. That is what Netanyahu has stated as are the minimums for any agreement on the Gaza plan. Hamas must be no more, and there cannot be any militarized equipment in Gaza anymore. They cannot use Gaza as a launching pad for terrorist attacks against Israel. There are two other persons involved in this new 21-point plan you should take note of: Tony Blair and Jared Kushner, along with Steve Witkoff. Tony Blair and Jared Kushner are the guys that put together the Abraham Accords way back in the first Trump administration. Jared Kushner is President Trump's son-in-law. So that's what's going on with regard to those conversations. And quite honestly, we're a little bit surprised how quickly Trump has folded his support for Israel in the aftermath of October 7th, although he keeps saying the same things, that Hamas did a bad thing October 7th. At the UN General Assembly, Abbas was prohibited from coming into the United States. The U.S. government wouldn't give them a visa for Palestinian representatives. So the UN hooked up by internet and allowed Hamas to speak to the UN General Assembly through the internet. And he said the normal things that he normally says. Israel is committing genocide. And reluctantly, he finally said, oh, by the way, Hamas did a bad thing back last October 7th to apparently appease and appear to be somewhat balanced in it. He's not balanced at all. Netanyahu spoke this morning at the UN, and as expected, the Palestinians called for all the nations to walk out during his speech. And as Netanyahu took the stage, here's what happened.
Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall. Please, order in the hall, and please be seated.
The Houthis in Yemen launched 2 drones into Eilat this week. 22 people were hurt. 2 of them were critically hurt. Eilat is the southernmost city there on the Gulf of Aqaba for Israel. Israel carried out a retaliatory strike of 7 targets. 8 people were killed, 140 were injured. And they launched, out of the 20 fighter jets and other supporting aircraft, they launched 65 different weapons. This was the strongest airstrike that Israel has put on the Houthis down in Yemen in retaliation for what took place. Israel also struck a Hezbollah rocket factory that was operating in eastern Lebanon. As you know, Israel is trying to help the Lebanese government to remove Hezbollah from Lebanon, and so they went in and took that out. Gaza operations are still continuing and becoming even more intense. By the way, this morning when Netanyahu was speaking at the UN, they set up loudspeakers all over Gaza and Gaza City, and so that the hostages could hear Benjamin Netanyahu send a message to them. And he spoke to them of hanging on, they're heroes in Israel. Israel has not forgotten them, and Israel is coming to get them. So that was the word that was put out. And he also put a word out to Hamas telling them they better disarm and they better turn over the hostages or they're going to suffer the consequences. So that's the most direct talk that's been given into Gaza from Netanyahu from the podium at the UN. I recently interviewed Jonathan Cahn about this topic, and here's what he had to say.
The enemy is, number one, against, and when I say the enemy, I'm speaking of Satan, we call Satan. He's against the people of God. He's against the ways of God. So we see that in America, but he's also going to be against Israel, because, the Bible in Revelation talks about the dragon warring against the woman. And so Israel, the Jewish people, Israel, the children of Israel are always being warred against for thousands of years. It's not it just takes new forms, So we're watching an ancient battle. And the battle for Israel's existence, that's what it's about. Israel didn't just say, hey, we're gonna go in and we're gonna have a war. Israel was attacked and was attacked by talk about demonic.
Right.
What Hamas did was demonic. I speak about this in the Dragon's Prophecy, and that is that, the day that it happened on a Hebrew holy day for a reason. That's the enemy. Happened on the Sabbath. That's the enemy. Happened exactly like 50 years from a ground invasion, the 1973. That's a jubilee, but it's the enemy. And then what they did was like the Nazis. It was horrific. That tells you what kind of war we're in. And and the fact that the nations, as you just said, UN voted, like the UN hates Israel. And the Bible says in the last days, the nations are going to come against Israel. So, they're just following the course, But Israel has to survive. God did give them that land. And by the way, speaking of that, listen, we got to pray for the people who are the Arabs, the Palestinians. We got to pray they get saved and pray that Israel finds Messiah.
As I mentioned to you before, the UN General Assembly did pass a non-binding resolution against Israel declaring a Palestinian state. More than 150 nations agreed to it. There's only 193 nations in the UN General Assembly. It's really meaningless. It's not going to accomplish anything whatsoever other than, as Netanyahu said, it rewards, from a standpoint of a propaganda standpoint, it rewards Hamas for what they've done. And this morning, when Netanyahu was addressing this topic, he made several comments and comparisons about no other nation would have tolerated any of this, and yet the UN expects Israel to tolerate it. As you know, the UN is specifically formed more resolutions against Israel in its history than all the other nations combined. In fact, the whole UN system is only set up for one purpose, that is to complain about Israel. Truly, the prophecy, all nations coming against Israel, is manifested in the very nature and words of the UN General Assembly.
Have you ever wondered if buying something small could truly keep Israel alive?
In other news this week, Russia has been saber rattling, doing overflights into Poland, flying drones into the other countries that are surrounding the border of Russia, and causing concern with those nations. And earlier this week, the president, when asked about it, made the comment, well, let's shoot them down. And the other nations are wondering about it, whether or not they're going to carry that out. Estonia and Poland have called for Article 4. Denmark apparently did not call for Article 4 where the overflights were at. Article 4 of the Nato agreement calls for meetings to deal with the Russian overflights, which would call for a conference and a review of what to do about the situation. But it's pretty clear that Putin feels he's irrelevant in the world compared to all the other stuff going on, and he simply wants more attention being directed to him. There for a while, when President Trump was giving full attention to him, why, he loved it. But now that Trump has drawn back because Putin is not keeping his word, well, he still wants to be relevant, and he wants to be able to, everybody take note of him and what he's doing. It reminds you of the behavior of a school children, and it's just ridiculous. All right, we'd like to ask you to continue to pray for Israel and all that's going on in the world. I'm somewhat disturbed by what President Trump has done now with Israel, announcing his opposition to the annexation. Mr. Trump, President of the United States, you are now contrary to the God of Israel and what he has stated. I hope you will change your position very quickly, or else you're going to suffer the consequences, just like all the other nations we have seen that go up against what God of Israel has said about his land. Please pray about all of these matters. Thank you for viewing this program, and remember to like, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Something big is happening, and our United States government is hiding it from the American people. You see, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has just called an emergency meeting of pretty much a majority of the generals and admirals in the military, and he summoned a majority of them there to Virginia to have an emergency meeting in Quantico. One has to ask, what the hell for, and what on earth is going on? And the second question is, how often are these emergency meetings? Well, the truth of the matter, for starters, they're not very often. In fact, these meetings are very rare. But let's take a look at where I found it. And this is on Newsweek.com. Pete Hegseth summons hundreds of its U.S. military officials to Quantico. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has ordered hundreds of the nation's top military officers to assemble at Marine Corps Base in Northern Virginia next week for an unscheduled meeting. An unusual move that has raised questions inside the Pentagon. The gathering, scheduled for Tuesday at Quantico, will bring together generals and admirals of 1-star rank or higher, along with senior advisors, according to two people familiar with the matter who spoke to the AP. The directive did not include a reason for the meeting. The people who described the move as extraordinary were not authorized to speak publicly and requested anonymity. VP J.D. Vance said on Thursday the gathering is not particularly unusual. Now, across the service, roughly about 800 generals and admirals hold positions positions of authority, commanding troops around the globe in multiple time zones. Now, those within the U.S. military overseas have reportedly expressed concerns about the sudden call back home, with some having to travel thousands of miles on short notice without explanation, rather than using secure video or phone lines to meet. One has to ask, why? If this can be done over a video call, why do people overseas have to come in? Because something big is going on. Now it goes on. Newsweek, well, let me start back here. A retired military colonel and senior advisor to the Center for Strategic and International Studies told Newsweek that there are frequent meetings of general officers, but the reported scale of the meeting like this was unprecedented. So this is not normally something that happens. It is rare. It has been widely reported that this strategy will emphasize homeland security, and Hegseth may want to express that directly to his commanders, right? So that's what they're being told from a source, is it has to deal with homeland security in the homeland. And that could come in a couple of ways. Number one, they're worried about some kind of foreign invasion. After all, there's a lot of tensions with Russia. Number two, they're worried about domestic terrorist activity from some kind of either lone wolf or homegrown terrorist group or some kind of radical left group, or fill in the blank, right? And they're worried about that. In fact, there's a lot of things happening right now that I have to bring attention to. But before I do, I gotta stress urgency. Get to restrictedrepublic.com. Justice Knight is putting out a huge report on Restricted Republic today, kind of expanding on everything we're talking about here. So you're gonna wanna get there. You're gonna wanna subscribe. Bring your friends, bring your family. It's only $5 a month using the coupon code Lisa and the number 5. We've got so much inside information. And by the way, we're a community here, and it's a good way to support Justice Knight and myself, because we're not posting all the videos on these controlled platforms for good reason. We take them all to restrictedrepublic.com, and you get exclusive inside content that we're not posting anywhere. I really hope to see you there, but it's less than $5 per month, less than that cup of coffee. But here's the deal. There's a lot of warnings that have recently been issued, right? Number one, Russia has really been getting a little bit more aggressive, even Ukraine, right? There's more talk in the Middle East of war with Iran and Russia on top of that. Let me show you some of the latest stuff that happened and why I think this military meeting has been called, and there's multiple reasons. I have a few reasons as to why that could be. Number one, Russia. NATO has already declared real war on Russia through Ukraine. Lavrov says, right? Russia Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov addressed a meeting at the G20 foreign ministers on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly meeting in New York on Thursday, and he unleashed going after NATO and the EU for declaring war on Russia through Ukraine. That's a threat. His remarks came on the heels of a NATO warning it is prepared to defend every inch of Allied territory after Estonia said that Russia fighter jets had violated its airspace last week. He started by accusing the Western alliance of failing to adhere to the principles of the UN Charter, which he described as a manifestation of neo-colonial ambitions, which leads to increased global instability and breeds regional conflicts. A clear example is the crisis in Ukraine provoked by the collective West, through which NATO and the EU want to declare, in fact, have already declared a real war on my country and are directly participating in it. That is a straight up, hey, what's going on here? But it goes on to state this: both NATO and EU officials have indicated that shooting Russia planes out of the sky is an option on the table if there are further breaches of EU airspace in a dire warning, right? So NATO and the EU have said, hey,
if you have dementia, try this elephant trick tonight before going to bed. Why has no one told you that
if you fly over Russia planes and then we're going to shoot them down? Well, Russia has said that if you do that, that's an act of war, right? Take a look at this. And this is on Clash Report on his X base. Russia ambassador to France, right, said if NATO shoots down a Russia plane, it would be declared war. Interesting. Both NATO and EU have indicated that shooting Russia planes out of the sky is on the table. And if they do that, Russia has said that would be an act of war. So as you can see, tensions are absolutely flying, especially with NATO and the EU. And let me play Ursula von der Leyen, what she says in response to a reporter, right, who talks about shooting a Russian plane out of a sky. And I think this is rather important. I can't believe the reporter is even asking that, but it is CNN.
Turkey did it 10 years ago and didn't suffer consequences necessarily.
No, and it's a principle of NATO and Article 5. So
what's taken you so long? I know you're not NATO, but what's taken the world so long? Because Russia has been really testing for such a long time. Is it time now to punch back in the nose?
Russia is testing on all fields. I mean, that's a hybrid war that we experience since many, many years, that Russia is leading against the democracies of the European Union and others. And therefore, we fight back on all the different fields. And as I said, it's a decision of NATO, but I would be very clear, you don't touch our territory.
And you were a former defense minister, I remember.
So there you go. You don't touch our territory. And by the way, when she's talking about Turkey shot down a jet 10 years ago, Russia did nothing, right? So that's what she's referencing there. Tensions are arising, folks. And guess what just happened here in the United States? Take a look at this. And this is on CBS News. U.S. fighter jets scrambled to intercept a Russia warplane that was near Alaska. So here we have these warplanes flying really close to the United States and Alaska border, right? So here's where the jets, you can kind of read it and pause, but they came really close, kind of on the line. Nobody obviously shot it down, but they were in international airspace, right? But really on the edge. NORAD said Russia military activity in that area is common, and it's not considered a threat, but it was the latest in a series of flights by Russian aircraft seen by many as testing the preparedness of the U.S., which is actually what I believe it is. Hey, you know, let's see how close we can go to Alaska to find out how much time we have before the Americans respond. That's literally what is going on here. And by the way, there's some action happening in Denmark that they're claiming could be Russia. That information has not come out yet, but Denmark alerts NATO after mysterious drones disrupt their airports. They're calling it some kind of alleged Russia-backed hybrid attack on their infrastructure. Now, I show you that because there have been similar things-ish happening right here in the United States of America very recently. Now, I'm not saying these are attributed to Russia or not. It could be domestic as well, and I'm going to get into that. But take a look at what Laura Loomer just dropped on her X page. She says there's a power outage at the Grand Central Station in New York City right now. I looked it up. Here it is. Sure as everything, there is an outage at the Grand Central Station. Grand Central power outage creates total blackout in terminal's main hall. And this is on Fox 5. And this just came out today, February 26th. But she goes on. This comes on the heels of or after 911 fibers were cut in Mississippi and Louisiana today. And fiber cables at the Dallas airport were also disrupted on Friday, which caused delays and cancellation for thousands of flights. This is no coincidence. You have cables cut in Mississippi, Louisiana, and the Dallas airport, and the outing at the Central Station. Look, let's put math together. This isn't a coincidence. All of it happening at once. And remember the warnings given to us by our United States government. I'll get back into that. But she says, are bad foreign actors from China, Qatar, Russia, Iran, or, Al-Qaeda trying to do some kind of dry run or sabotage on the electrical grid? It's a good question to see how long emergency response takes. I mean, hello? Are they planning to attack our U.S. citizens? Maybe this is another reason for why they have the emergency meeting. Maybe because we have already gotten word that Al-Qaeda is potentially planning attacks on U.S. soil. Ergo this. I shared this a few times on my channel. Hopefully you watch it over at Restricted Republic or here. But Al-Qaeda recent calls to conduct attacks in the U.S., right? So they have increased the threat environment. This warning went out to state, local, tribal, territorial, the private sector, first responders. They were all alerted to this. And what is this in a nutshell? Well, Al-Qaeda basically saying, hey, we're telling our people
why you should never charge your smartphone at night. 22 years as a cell phone repair engineer.
To go out there, these radicals to go out there and commit violence in the United States of America and explosive firearms, knives, ramming of vehicles, the whole 9 yards, and even go after our representatives. And so Laura Loomer and myself, rightly so, hey, is something being planned here that we don't know about? Something is very wrong. This is clearly pre-planning for something much larger. There's no way that all of this random stuff just happens in one day, mind you, 3 of them in one day. Blackouts and sabotage of emergency service lines after the recent discovery of the SMI servers and all of that, which thankfully they got, are these dry runs for a much larger attack? And that surely is the question. And then let's just add a little bit more fuel to the fire, because I'm putting all my reports together this week, right? There's also this, right? I reported on this yesterday. Fox 5, security titans near White House ahead of high-profile visit. As you know, they've put up anti-scale fencing around the White House. Now, I do believe that was done because Netanyahu is coming for a visit, right? He's already here. He addressed the UN already. And now he is, well, going to visit Donald Trump at the White House. So they normally put up scale fencing for that. But I think the fencing has multiple reasons. If you consider, we've got the alert from the United States government regarding Al-Qaeda. We got tensions flying with Russia. We've got a security fence going up. And then to add a little more fuel to why I think they're also having this emergency. I mean, it could be all of it, folks, could be all of it. But Donald Trump, as you know, has declared Antifa a terrorist organization, right? And not only them, but he is also going after all the left-wing groups, anyone, don't left or what, that is funding these kinds of organizations. Take a look. And you guys know this already, USA Today, Trump-sized memorandum targeting left-wing groups there who are encouraging violent uprisings, right? AKA the George Soros of the world. And see, as a result of that, I think he's pissed off some people, like George Soros. Bill Gates has already backed out of funding some of these really radical groups, but George Soros seems to still have his hand in the pot. Maybe this emergency meeting is also addressing some of the domestic terrorism that we're seeing here in the U.S. And it's unthinkable. But here, the Justice Department, this is on the New York Times, by the way, Justice Department officially pushes prosecutions to investigate George Soros Foundation. I bet this hurt the New York Times to report it because they love little Mr. George Soros. At least their way that they talk about him shows that. But it goes on to state, a senior Justice Department official has instructed more than half a dozen U.S. attorney offices to draft plans to investigate a group funded by Soros, the billionaire Democrat donor who Trump has demanded to be thrown in jail. And only because he has been committing criminal activity, like trying to overthrow countries with agendas and ideas. Here's the deal. Let me read this and then I'll get it. The official directive, a copy of which was viewed by the New York Times, goes as far to list possible charges for prosecutors and what they could file, ranging from arson to material support there of these activities. So here's the deal. A lot of people say George Soros is banned in countries. He's not banned in countries. That's fake news. But what is his organizations and the things, his organizations are banned in a couple of countries, but not here in the United States of America. And I think Donald Trump is finally starting to catch on to that. But remember, when you fight these demons, they're rich, they're big, and they're powerful, and they're going to come back with something. In fact, Open Society is already all over the internet, right? This is George Soros's baby coming and saying, oh no, the Trump administration is lying. Open Society unequivocally condemns anything having to do with violence, and we're always peaceful and lawful and blah, 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 right? We don't fund any of that. However, there's this entire report written by Ryan Marano, an investigative researcher at Capital Research Center, who says Soros Open Society gave them, these kind of groups, leftist radicals, $80 million, over $80 million. He's got 90 pages to prove it. And supposedly this is what they are using to conduct some of their investigation. Pretty good info, by the way, if you haven't read it. And all George Soros's Open Society can say for it is, yeah, we don't do that. No, they fund it through a group that funds another group that does it, and so on and so forth. Kind of like, Joe Biden with his many LLCs, right? Wow. I hope we start banning some of his group. But the bottom line is there are potential criminal charges that could potentially be opened against George Soros. Maybe he's mad enough to to come back with something, right? Maybe that's why some of the fencing is going up at the White House. Maybe that has to do with some of the meeting. Hey, we should prepare. We pissed off a couple of these billionaires. We pissed off some people at the United Nations. We pissed off Russia, and we pissed off some radical leftists here in the United States of America. Excuse my French, it's a shit show right now. And not in a bad way, right? Donald Trump is trying to get this country back. We have for years been gripped by radical leftists and radical leftist policies, and he's not trying to make it right, like a far right thing. Okay, I'm against that. I don't want it far right policies or far left. I just want to be in the middle, what we were meant to be. And if you commit a crime, no matter if you're on the right or the left, you should have to answer for that. Right? But so far, so well, the only people that get to go to jail are those on the right, pretty much a majority on the left. Yeah, we're going to let that go. This isn't fair. And for far too long, conservatives, Republicans, libertarians have been censored, blacklisted, downlisted, attacked, jailed, imprisoned here in the United States of America. And Donald Trump is up there saying, we've had enough of it. And of course, he's getting pushed back. But we've got all these red alerts, warnings, and again, I don't think this meeting or emergency meeting is anything to be worried about. Drop that. I think that it's all about putting the safety of our country at hand, and that's a good thing. You know, if tensions are flying with Russia, let's take precautions. If there's something happening in the U.S. with these radical leftists and domestic terrorist groups, then we need to have an alert on that. We need to be prepared for it. If Netanyahu's at risk, we need to put some fencing up, right? We need to take these precautions. Anyhow, wanted to bring all of that to you. Can't wait to read your thoughts, comments, and concerns. And just
Abu 7, I want to bring your attention to 7 different objects that we have coming into our inner solar system right now. 2 of these have already reached perihelion, and we're going to wait to see how the other ones play out here. But this swan that just came through our neck of the woods is very interesting as well. It has brightened and can continue to increase in brightness in the coming days and weeks, and could potentially be viewed by the naked eye. Now, in this bunch is the notorious Atlas that you can see right here. This is on October 3rd, where it makes its close approach to Mars. And man, if you were on Mars, this thing would literally just be skimming the red planet. It's going to come so close, it would be a sight to behold. Something coming that close to the planet, this large. It's very interesting indeed, but we can see when we put this into motion, Atlas making its way on out, and it's going to just pass behind Jupiter on its way out here. When it comes to Comet Atlas, which is growing in size. And alongside Comet Atlas, here in this, we have the 414P stereo that's going to be in the neck of the woods, hopefully catching some of the action here. And then we're going to have A6 Le Mans, you have Pan-STARRS, you have 95P, you have K1 Atlas, a smaller object that is closer to the sun making its rounds, and you have SWAN. Now, this is like the 20th comet, I think, that the SWAN Observatory has picked up, but they've dubbed this C2025 R2 SWAN. That's the one that you see here on the left, and it's continuing to brighten. Right now, it's around a +7. If you have binoculars, you can see it, but if it brightens any more, people in the northern hemisphere will be able to see this in the weeks ahead. So, a lot of activity here, with a lot of objects making their way in at the same time, and then all exiting. And it'll be quiet after that, per se, in terms of these visitors from afar. Nonetheless, that's a look there at this cluster of comets making its way to and through our inner solar system. Join me for the live streams going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 p.m.
right, guys, a lot of news, man, a lot of news. I'm already getting at the top of the hour here, 50 minutes. I'm going to try to go ahead and see how much I can do. But if I can't get through every single thing, I will put it in the description box, and I think I have some news going to be put in the description box. I'm going to be going over here to 444 and reading that about the tribulation. Since we had so many people really didn't read their Bible and got all confused about what went on Feast of Trumpets. Actually, these people here, I'm not going to play the video, but I will put it in the description box. They got all confused. White Americans break down in tears after selling everything they had for Rapture Day. And so I'm going to be talking about that at 444 here in a minute, where she's talking about what the Lord showed her. And it's in the Bible. It really is in the Bible, guys. If you go read the whole chapter of Matthew 24, you will see these things for yourself. Read and talk to the Lord and let him show you things. And then you won't have to be disappointed. You won't have to be going through all this deception stuff and lies and confusion. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you a little of this video here from World News Report. Just a very little bit of it, because I got to get over here to Stand Prophecy. And also I got to go and look at Dave Hodges a little bit. I hope this video is kind of long too. So I'm just going to be showing a little bit of it, okay? Because I won't have time to show all the material that I have to show here with ministry and missions and the Bible. So I have to cut back a little. But we are going to get into the weather soon after I get into World News Report. We're going to get into the weather. And then I will cover this other brother here. I mean 444 tribulation, okay? So let me do that now. Wow, so much going on. I tell you, you got to keep praying, praying without ceasing.
James Kaufman, World News Report today. Ladies and gentlemen, I thought we better pick up this, well, what came in as a 6.0 and is now a 5.9 downgraded earthquake on the Cascadia subduction zone, really on one of the seamounts, or off one of the seamounts on the Juan de Fuca plate. We also had two aftershocks. We're going to zoom in and take a look at those. This was originally at 6.0, and it had an associated tsunami warning. It was at a default depth of 10 kilometers, i.e. they don't know the exact depth. Now, the people that watch me know why they're doing the blasting all up and on the coast here, as y'all can see, to release pressure on all the Cascades and all of the formations to the east of the Cascades. Here, we're on the Juan de Fuca plate. It's the plate being subsided or pushed under the North American plate. This is Oregon and California and Washington. And here's the 5.9 originally at 6.0. And there's been two aftershocks. We had a 3.0 aftershock, default depth, and a 3.0 aftershock. Here's one of the quote-unquote seamounts, which just means underwater volcano. Here's another. We'll actually be able to see the names of these in just a moment. And here's another seamount. I'm going to explain to y'all how this mechanism works before we go any further. And again, please notice the blasting all up and down the coast. The USGS is trying to relieve pressure on the Cascades from all the magma pushing up. Let's take a look. Alright, here's a quick schematic of the Cascadia subduction zone. What we have here is what's called the Juan de Fuca plate, a small plate caught in between the Pacific plate over here and the North American plate here. And what's happening is it's being pushed under the North American plate, forcing magma to the surface on all the Cascadia volcanoes like Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, Mount Adams, Mount Hood. There's quite a few of them that work their way all the way down, well, from Washington all the way down to California. And this pressure is also, well, shared by all the formations in Idaho, craters of the moon, etc., and even Yellowstone. So, again, the Pacific Plate is pushing the Juan de Fuca Plate, and here's the Juan de Fuca Ridge under or subsiding under the North American Plate, forcing, you can see the magma here, to the tops of these volcanoes, i.e. forcing an eruption. And as it's pushed further under, what happens? More magma is pushed towards the surface. All right, now we're doing this because we noticed that we had a swarm over here in Venezuela, and Pele is right there. We're also having magma movement under Pele. And Edgar Casey said, when Pele and Edna, which is already in full eruption, go off at the same time, we'll have less than 90 days before we lose the west coast of the U.S. And remember, Pele is yellow, i.e. awakening, although it has been for some time. Now, we have a 5.9, as discussed here. It was a 6.0. We'll get some detailed information about that quake in just a moment. We also have two aftershocks here. Now, I believe that they're both 3.0s. Let's see if we can zoom in and get them. A 3.0 here and a 3.0 here. We'll pick this one out. It should be a little bit better and get some detailed information there as well. That 3.0 was at a default depth, and the main reporting agency was the USGS. And our 6.0, that was a default depth as well, USGS, main source. We have International Research Institute on Seismology, 5.9, Europeans 5.9, both default depths. And we'll take a look at this 3.0, also USGS main source, and the Europeans and the International Research Institute on Seismology both come in with the same information there.
Everybody, happy Friday to you. Mark again here at Weatherman Plus. I have new information on what's happening with Imelda, plus what's happening with Humberto still, and what's coming around the corner for our hurricane season. Now you can see with the latest ensembles that a few more ensembles, we have about 4 or 5 of them now, show that it could get pulled out by Humberto. This is not doing a Fujiwara effect. Those people that saying that don't know what they're talking about. That's been out of the ensembles for almost 3 days now. It's actually called in meteorological terms binary interaction. But when you look at this, you'll see more of the ensembles is confirming that this more likely will be a landfalling tropical storm trying to be a hurricane. What I'm seeing is still what I told you yesterday. It could hit landfall, get pulled out, and potentially doing a second landfall. So I'm going to go through all the information on the rainfall as well as what more likely will happen with Imelda. But the risk for winds and rainfall is looking significant according to National Hurricane Center. They are raising the stakes of what the impacts will be from this system. You could get a PTC, a potential tropical cyclone outlook this afternoon for the Bahamas as this moves further towards the north. So that is possible as well. Now, as of right now, when you look at this invest, you can see it's really getting torn apart by these high mountains across the greater Antilles, but still showing it will get at low pressure somewhere over here west of Haiti. So it did move its location. It was over here by Turks and Caicos. It has gone a little further towards the southern side, but still it's going to run over land interaction and really won't get itself together until it gets towards the Bahamas. Now here's the key takeaway point of what's going to happen with this system. If it moves fast, it will be a landfalling storm by Monday, showing it still will get sheer at the last minute. Some dry air might get involved if it does a second landfall. The first one will be the strongest as it comes in for Monday. If it slows down and it's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, there's a great chance that it will be pulled out then, and it won't be such big impacts towards the Carolinas or anybody along the coast. There still will be rainfall, there still will be impacts, but it won't be super big impacts because it's going to get pulled out. but if it goes fast, it will be a double landfall. And that second one could go right towards the Carolinas or get pulled right towards the north, still up the East Coast. So I'm going to show you the latest information in this video, what you can expect from this storm and what the more likely outcome can be. Everybody, thank you so much for all your shares and the likes. I appreciate every single one of y'all helping get the word out, trying to keep everyone as safe as possible. That is the main goal.
If you have dementia, you should never drink warm water, and I'm going to explain why. Hardly anyone knows this, but all
Latest information from National Hurricane Center this morning still has it at 90% chance in 7 days, 80% chance in the next 48 hours. Also showing, while there remains considerable uncertainty in the long-range track and intensity of the system, there's a significant risk of wind, rainfall, and storm surge impacts for a portion of the southeast U.S. coast early next week. So I will keep you updated. Tomorrow is Sabbath, but I will be here for you every single day with updates as well in the afternoon. Now,
Hello, America. Dave Hodges here. I am the host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're brought to you by Body Align. And frequency, you know this, is the wave of medical intervention, both alternative and mainstream. And it's buy one, get one free for a brief time. This is the time to jump on board. Buy one, get one free of these great products. Someone just asked me, Dave, are there any sales? Because they really look like interesting products. Well, the time is here, but it's not going to be here long. Go to Body Align, ALIGN, bodyalign.com/Dave Hodges, bodyalign.com/Dave Hodges.
They say that Halloween isn't what it used to be.
Bro, this house is cooked.
Budget showdown. And usually stories like this are horribly, horribly boring, but it's not. And when you dovetail this with what we just talked about in a previous segment with James Comey, September 30th is shaping up to be a day that will live in American infamy. These events are going to be unbelievable. First of all, just to recap very quickly, if Comey's indicted, expect the civil unrest to go off the charts. I think it would be naive and foolish to believe anything else. But there's another element that's going to accompany this that's going to affect a lot of people who have a razor-thin allegiance to the United States as it is. If the budget is not resolved, and I don't believe it's going to be, if that's not resolved, a lot of people are going to be hurt, particularly people who are poor. Federal programs with EBT and other supporting programs are going to go away. This could add to the social unrest we're going to see with the potential indictment of James Comey. The budget shutdown comes on September 30th, and the rhetoric from the left has been increasingly volatile, hostile, and even encouraging violence. And we've heard it, bring a gun to the fight, this is a war. You've heard all the comments. We've addressed them. They're irresponsible. They inflame tensions and passions like what led up to the murder of Charlie Kirk. Well, Charlie's not alone in this, but he's the symbol for when people speak irresponsibly and fuel the fires of people who are mentally ill, then they act on that mental illness. Well, that's one side of the coin that's coming September 30th. The other side is the budget. Trump and the GOP aren't backing down. Now, they need 60 votes to get a temporary spending bill through the Senate. They had 44 votes the last go-around because the GOP is infected with, shall we say, rhino Republicans, and that's about as nice a term as I can call them. They're traitors. They're traitors to the Republic. They're traitors to the American people. They're traitors to their own party. They're Republicans in name only, hence the term rhino. And they're fighting against holding the line on the budget. The Democrats have been thoroughly defeated, but they don't act like they're defeated. They want their programs to continue, including their wasteful spending that government has no business being involved in. I don't ask government to pay for any plastic surgery that ugly old me might look at. Not that I'm contemplating it, I'm not. But I wouldn't expect to be subsidized. But when we look at, gender affirming care, as they like to call it, should it be publicly funded? Well, they have billions of dollars dedicated to that. They have over $1 trillion they want in spending, the same way they were wasting our money that was exposed under U.S. aid and Doge under Elon Musk. This is a joke. These people want to continue to bankrupt the United States. They know what they're doing. There's no one that stupid that says we can throw an extra $1 trillion of spending in to an economy that's already $37.5 trillion in debt. The crap that they want to fund is unbelievable. It's nonsense stuff that I look at and say, it's fine if people want to spend money on themselves, but should we be paying for it? And specifically, the main thing I'm looking at is continued spending to house illegal aliens. Now, if deportation is the game because they're here in violation of Article 4, that's what the government is obligated to do under our legal structure. If you don't like the law, then change it. And I think that we should be treating people humanely. After all, we're all children of the same God. And I don't think you just kick people out on the street and say, oh, so sorry, too bad. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you're moving people and transitioning them out of the country, you should be providing housing in the interim. You should be feeding them in the interim. They're human beings. And they were invited here by the previous administration. Whether you want to say it was neglectful invitation or purposeful, you could debate that in another place. I'm not going to do that here at this time. But I'm saying this. The Democrats want us to pay to keep these people here because, as they've been accused of, and I agree with this, they want to keep them on the voter rolls or put them on the voter rolls because the Democrats are a party in decline and they're looking for allies wherever they can find it. And they want you to pay for this. Well, this is what they did in Germany. This is exactly what they did in Germany. And if the Germans had American government principles in the Constitution, they'd have been in violation back in 2008 of the Third Amendment, the No Quartering Act. Yeah. You know what they did to Germans? If your lease was up in an apartment, you had a good chance of not having your lease renewed. You had to move. And the landlord was instructed this is what you had to do. And then they moved in illegal aliens to those apartments and government paid for it. This is why the Germans are broke as a joke. That and their irresponsible spending with regard to military that they can't afford. Trying to be independent of America and NATO, and it didn't work. It bankrupted their country. But nonetheless, here's what I'm saying. Third Amendment, yeah, no such thing in Germany. Well, the Democrats want the same thing here. And they want you to pay for it. No one's paying for my rent.
They asked me, and I'm going to share the recipe I used to lose 24 pounds, okay? First, you're going to take...
And on my dad's side of the family, I'm first generation. Now, I didn't ask anyone to pay for me, and no one should be paying for me. But the Democrats want this wasteful spending that we can't afford. And by the way, it's not just housing, it's free medical. It's continued payments. It's basically universal basic income. But it's not even extended to American citizens. And this is what Trump is saying, no, we're not doing this. And the GOP that's not rhino-oriented or rhino-infected, they're not going along with this either. So here's what we're talking about. There's not going to be a budget agreement. Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries wanted to double team Trump in the Oval Office. He says, I'm not talking to you when you have these proposals. When you're trying to drive up our spending by $1 trillion and almost none of it has anything to do with American citizens, governmental service, safety, welfare, constitutionally approved spending, we're not going to talk about it. He said, that's it. And the Democrats they do want to shut down. This is why I believe they're being so unreasonable and so outrageous in their demands, because of the fact that they want to shut down. They can pin on the Republicans as momentum going into the midterm elections. And I, myself, I'll be minorly affected. Many of my friends and colleagues could be majorly affected. And as bad as that is, and as uncomfortable as it may be for me personally and people I care about, I'm saying shut it down. Let the Democrats destroy the economy, and then every day publish what they want to spend your tax money on that Trump said no to. Publish it. Show the American people what this party is really all about. It's not about promoting Americans and our safety and welfare. It's about furthering their political agenda through hook and crook. Shut it down.
Welcome to the Prophecy Club. I think this is one of the most important topics I can bring to you. I think we are in the early phases of the internal revolution. I think we are about to see massive arrests and a new currency. I think that the prophecies say, I think that it's in the news that we're about to see some changes in America that will shock everybody. Let me show you what I'm talking about. First of all, yes, remember Prophecy Club in your giving. We're not in dire circumstances yet, but they're at the end of the driveway. Okay, so if you can remember us, you're giving, hopefully we won't reach the real bad areas. So yes, I appreciate your help. Okay, so first thing we're talking about is the internal revolution. Now, you've been following us for a while. You know that Dmitry was told way back in 1984, the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America, started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems, then Russia attacks. Now, I think that I'm about to show you some things that show the internal revolution is in the early phases. So I went to Grok and I pulled it up and asked it a question. Have there been an increase in shootings over the last few years? And as you can see the chart, 24, 25, it has jumped a bunch. So then I asked it to put it into a chart so we can see it. That's the chart. Now, what's this trying to say? I think that it's actual hard numbers that can say one thing. It can say that there is a divide in America. We're talking about a division between the criminals and the law enforcement like we've never seen. A division between the right and left, a division between black and white, a division between Democrats and Republicans like we've never seen. Just because we disagree on things, it used to be that we could still be friends. Not anymore. U.S. Civil War commencing. Attacks every 54 hours and 50 minutes. Hal Turner says, in my personal opinion, a kinetic civil war has actually begun inside the United States. The left is on the attack. True. People on the right had better wake up and be ready. Okay, so typically the right, the Republicans, which is mostly Christians, not all of them, but we tend to be peaceful people. And we don't want to fight. We don't want to argue. But the goats on the other side, that's what they do. That's the reason to say, push back. They're always saying, push back, or we've got to fight. Okay, you don't hear Republicans talk about fight or push back, okay? He says in the last month, leftists have shot up a Catholic school. You remember this. Assassinated Charlie Kirk, shot up ABC TV affiliates, and now ICE facilities in Dallas. Don't forget the psychopath who butchered the Ukrainian woman, stabbed her in the neck. Many people say these are criminal acts or acts of terrorism. I think I think he's right. I think it's more than that. The American Civil War didn't. Now he said some things here I'd never heard before, and I think it's important. So I'm going to read all this. The American Civil War didn't really start at Fort Sumter. It started in the territories. U.S. territories who wished to become states had to vote, either enter as free or slave states. Each side realized that every state added in favor of their opponents, meaning less voting power for their allies. Pro-slavery and pro-abolitionist settlers rushed to their territories like Kansas in hopes of tipping the scales in their favor. Once each of these hostile sides, that's the point, hostilities, just like before the Civil War, are now taking place. That's the point he's trying to make. Hostile sides realized that there was in the territory for the purpose of manipulating the vote, and their antagonism only grew. Eventually, this developed into full-on armed skirmishes where dozens of Americans killed each other. Not one had a uniform or a flag or a separate government or military. We now call this period Bleeding Kansas. It was a factor of the Missouri War as well. Eventually, this developed in the Civil War we think of today, but that is not how the Civil War started. He said it actually started with random acts of violence carried out by people just like is going on in today, exactly what we're seeing. We're already in a low-level civil war, he says. I agree. I think you'll agree. Like a child putting their finger in their face, taunting you, saying, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. Well, see, that's what we see the left doing to the right now. And it's another reason I think that there's got to be massive arrests, and that is not going to go over well. It's not going to be received. And the massive arrests will start the internal revolution. And I think we are looking at a high probability massive arrests before the end of the year. This one guy said by October 15th. I don't know the date, but anyway, Civil War invokes an image of a fledgling war. So just to be clear, the Jayhawk war phase of our current discontents began on June 14th of 2017 with an attempted assassination of GOP Congress members playing basketball. Everything since then has just been more down the hill. In other words, he's saying, he's got some good reason to say, we are in an internal revolution. He says, we are in a kinetic civil culture war right now. The reasons you're unaware of are, one, only one side is shooting at each other. The left shooting at the right. The media hasn't told you that you are in a civil war, and you're still going to work every day, and make no mistake, you are in harm's way from the political left. I agree. Want solid proof? There are 329 hours between Charlie Kirk's assassination and the shootings of the ICE agents and others in Dallas, Texas today. In that time, there were 2 attempted bombings, Sacramento ABC studio shooting, terrorist act in New Hampshire, an attack every 54 hours, 50 minutes. We really are in a kinetic civil war. Next topic, which ties in. Massive arrests. Hegseth has ordered rare, urgent meeting of hundreds of generals and admirals. What's going on? So, he has ordered these generals to come to a meeting next week. As the government shutdown loomed, is it because the government shutting down? Is it because of this sweeping consolidation of top? I'm asking yourself, what is the real cause? There's about 800 generals and admirals that are coming to this meeting. Typically, these officers oversee hundreds of thousands of rank-and-file troops, meaning the leadership of our military is going to be all in the same place. Hope a bomb doesn't go off there. Next part of it, this can tie together. Strange, I covered this yesterday. Truckloads of anti-scaling fencing are arriving at the White House. Obviously, the White House is expecting to have a lot of people protesting at it. Could that be from arrests? We're going to talk about it. Could it be We're about to see a new currency, a new republic, a new constitution, and a new president, not of the all capital United States of America, but the new upper lower republic of the United States. Checkmate, Chuck. Trump administration plans massive layoffs for federal employees if Schumer and his Democrats shut down the federal government. Now, here's the situation. U.S. Senate on Friday rejected 2 measures to fund the government. The Senate rejected a Trump-backed House-passed stopgap bill and blocked the Democrat version. So basically, the Democrats are shutting down the government. They are not letting it get funded. Now, that fits with their agenda. They want to destroy the Christian nation, the last Christian nation, and they don't mind shutting it down. They don't mind destroying it. Trump administration will likely start firing federal employees working on any program not funded by, in other words, what Trump is going to say is, okay, you shut down the government, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lay off everybody in the government that I possibly can that does not have a government job funded by a law. In other words, the government, Trump is going to say, you want to shut down the government? Go ahead and shut it down. I'm just going to lay people off. And it's going to be on your shoulders, Chucky. Or what if he's letting every time this funding thing comes up, the Democrats do the same thing. They threaten to shut the government down. But this time, Trump is willing to say, okay, why is Trump this time willing to say, okay, could it be that that's part of the plan? They shut the government down, shut it down for a few days, people start screaming, give us our entitlements, remember that? Then all of a sudden, at the right time, maybe a few days, maybe even a few weeks into it, they come up with a new system, a new currency, a new government, a new constitution, and they do away with the old. Okay, could this fit into his plan? See, I think that the Democrats don't understand what the white hats are doing. They don't understand. They think it's the same fight that's been going on for, 75 years. Maybe the white hats, maybe Trump and his buddies have another plan. Trucking flashes, I covered this yesterday too. So basically the trucks are not moving as much as they used to be. It's a 9.3% reduction. Why? Because people aren't buying as much. Why? Because the dollar is inflated. Things are getting more inflated, just like Shane Warren told us was going to happen. That all fits into a picture. I'm trying to paint a picture of what is really coming. Now, Secretary of War summons all generals. This is another article on the same thing, but I want to point out some things. So he summoned all generals. It appears the entire command structure of the United States will all be in one place at the same time next week. I've never seen anything like this in my past 30 years reporting the U.S. military. We might be going to war. No. I don't think that's what it is. Okay, then let me go back to Hal Turner remarks on what he said. Whatever this is, it must be so secret. Now, we're talking about the gathering of the generals here. It must be so secret, they can't risk it leaking out to anyone. So he's called them personally together, 800 generals. Do you see how it's fitting together? Russia-Ukraine situation, is that the problem? No. Is it because the U.S. force build up on the coast of Venezuela and we might be going to war with Venezuela? No. Government shutdown? That has part to do with it. Growing violent political class. I mean, why is Hegseth pulling 800 generals into one location? Never been done before. The space project. I never heard of this one before. It's called 31 Atlas, thought to be a comet, but it changed course a couple of times and is now heading directly at Earth. I don't think that's it either. I think it's massive arrests, a new constitution, a new everything. So let's go through the possibilities.
All right, guys. Yep. A lot of news I told you today. I'm going to switch on over here. My time is running out here, and I just want to bring this up. I can't read much of it now because of time, but I hope you guys will go read the Bible, because this is what's going on. The tribulation must come before the rapture, okay? Allison Pond got a message here, and I read some of it, and most of it I agree with, so whatever. But Wednesday, 24th, September 2025, be still and know that I am God. I am the Holy One of Israel. There is none holy like the Lord. When I return, it will be for a purified people. This is who I will come back for. They will be put through the fires of purification. Tribulation must come before rapture. It is time to silence the rapture people. They will get just about the exact opposite of a rapture, some of them. It gives me no pleasure to say this, but my children need to be put through tribulation. They must go through the fire. The fires of purification are so necessary. They are so blinded and deafened by this world. The harpazo, what is that? Harpazo is catching up into the air. It will not come on any ordinary day. It will be a day of darkness, crowds. The sun will not shine. It will be as if when I first created the earth and the heavens before I placed two great lights in the skies above you. There will be some light because I am in the heavens above you, and I am the light. But I will hide my glory and my light from the people upon the earth. The tribulation will be a very dark time. Literal darkness will begin to cover the earth. There will be 3 days of complete darkness when no man will be able to move around. A darkness that can be felt, and you will not be able to see your hand in front of your face. But those who belong to me will know when those days are upon them, and will go into their homes and shut the doors and windows and pull the blinds. Now, if you go read Exodus, I know some places in Exodus, maybe she listed it here. Genesis, she has some things listed here. But I want you guys to be aware to really, really read your Bibles, okay? So I just wanted to bring that out. I'll put it in the description box, all these messengers. I'm really running close here. So I'm going over here and grab my missions people, because I forgot to put it in my, forgot to put it down there. What's wrong? What are you pointing for? There's okay. I gotta see where I put that at. I don't even know where I put it at. So, well, I don't see that here. So anyway, guys, let me see, did I put it here anywhere? So if I didn't put it here, I'm in trouble, because my time's running out. I don't see it here, my missionaries. I did look it up one time, and now I don't see it here. Let me see here. And I'm just going to grab something here. I'm really in a hurry here. Okay, so we got to be aware, though, of what's going on, guys, okay? I'm just going to grab something because I cannot find what I need. So let me go ahead and read it out. Okay.
I've been a sinner, I've been a saint, a little bit of both every single day. I've been lost, but somehow I've been found. There's been some pain, been some regret, been some moments I'll never forget. But when I look back from where I'm standing now, there's never been a moment I was not held inside your arms. And there's never been a day when you were not who you say you are. You're forever, it don't matter what I'm walking through. 'Cause no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved by you. Loved by you. Loved by you. You've been the rock, you've been the peace, always showing your good heart to me. My days are marked by grace I don't deserve, no. You've been the price I can never pay. You've been the light that has led the way. No matter where I am, oh, I am sure there's never been a moment I was not held inside your arms. And there's never been a day when you were not who you say you are. You're forever, it don't matter what I'm walking through. So where could I go that I could wander from your side? And where could I run and never leave behind? Your all-consuming, heart-pursuing, grace-extending, never-ending love.
Our dear givers, these are the remaining people, and they are happy to receive their Bibles. God bless you so much for your giving in Jesus' name.
There's never been a moment I was not held inside your arms, and there's never been a day when you were not who you say you are. You're forever, it don't matter what I'm walking through, 'cause no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved. Oh, no matter where I'm going, there's never been a moment that I was not loved by you. Yeah, loved by you. Loved by
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah, pray for the missionaries, guys. They're getting ready to go out again, and I'm telling you, they're going to be going in some places they've never been before, because time is really running out. We got to do this last harvest. We got to do this last harvest. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the Bible, Revelation 9. I was talking to the Lord. I said, well, you know, we can go to Colossians, but it's like it flashed on me, Revelation 9. So we know we're going to be going through some things in the future, and we need to be preparing our hearts, our minds, our souls, and not get confused. Reading the Word. Make a dedication to the Father to read the Word every day, every morning, whenever you can do it. It's time to not be deceived, guys, okay? So we're going to go ahead and read the Revelation 9 today, see what it's saying. And I thank you for being here today. Father, be with us as we go to your Word. Open the people's eyes and ears. Give them discernment. Give them wisdom in these evil times, Father, ahead, right now, in front of us, letting us know that you have overcome all things. You have overcome the world, and greater is he that is in us than he that is in the evil world. If we are yours, if we are born again, Father, help us to be born again. Help us to get right with you in these times that's coming ahead. We ask it in Jesus' name. So you go ahead and read that to the people.
So I can see maybe. Revelation, we'll do chapter 9, we'll start in verse 1. Then the fifth angel sounded his trumpet. I saw a star from heaven that had fallen to the earth. The star was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and smoke went up out of the shaft like smoke from a huge furnace. The sun and the air turned dark by the smoke pouring out of the shaft. Out of the smoke, locusts came on the earth, and they were given power like that of scorpions on the earth. They were told not to damage the grass on the earth or any green plant or tree, but only the people who did not have the seal of Yahweh on their foreheads. Well, there's something we want, need. They were not given permission to kill those people, but only to torture them for 5 months. Their agony would be like the sting of a scorpion when it strikes a person. In those days, people will seek death, but will not find it. They will greatly desire to die, but death will flee from them. The locusts looked like armored cavalry prepared for battle. On their heads were something like crowns of gold, and their faces were like human faces. They had hair like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had body armor like iron breastplates, and the sound of their wings was like the sound made by many chariots and cavalry riding into battle. They had tails with stingers like scorpions. In their tails they had power to harm people for 5 months. They had as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew was Abaddon, and in Greek he had the name Apollyon. The first woe is past. Look, after this there are still 2 disasters to come. The sixth angel sounded his trumpet, and I heard a voice coming from the 4 horns of the golden altar that is present before Yahweh. The voice said to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." The 4 angels who had been prepared for that hour, that day, that month, and that year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. The numerical strength of the cavalry force was 200 million. I heard their total number. This is how I saw the horses in my vision. Their breastplates were fiery red, dark blue, and sulphurous yellow. The heads of the horses resembled the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and sulfur. A third of the people were killed by these three plagues, the fire, smoke, and sulfur that came out of their mouths. For the power of the cavalry was in their mouths and in their tails. For their tails were like snakes, and they had heads with which they inflicted wounds on people. The rest of mankind, those who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent of the deeds they had done, nor did they stop worshiping demons and idols of gold, silver, bronze, stone, and wood, things that cannot see, hear, or walk. Neither did they repent of their murders, their sorceries, their sexual immorality, or their acts of theft.
Oh, you see,
That's what the Bible says.
This is what's going on. This stuff going to come, and people just still not going to repent, and it's just going to be a horrible time. I know I saw 5 months here, and one brother said, I think one minister said it might be 5 months of darkness instead of 3 days of darkness, maybe 5 months of darkness. So I don't know, guys. I just know, well, what I've been seeing in here, and it's not going to be a nice place to be. So we have to pray to the Father to keep us at this time and really follow him and not man. Follow him and not man. So we're going to go ahead and end the video, guys, here. I'm going to go on over here to Maranatha, and we're going to go here to December 28th. And it's talking about the Christ Kingdom of Love. I think it's December 28th. Yeah, Christ Kingdom of Love. So let's go ahead and play that, and we'll be going out of here, getting you guys out of here. Go ahead and mute out.
December 28, Christ Kingdom of Love. The kingdom and dominion and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High. Daniel 7:27. The government of the kingdom of Christ is like no earthly government. It is a representation of the characters of those who compose the kingdom. His court is one where holy love presides, and whose offices and appointments are graced by the exercise of charity. He charges his servants to bring pity and loving kindness, his own attributes, into all their office work. The power of Christ alone can work the transformation in heart and mind that all must experience who would partake with him of the new life in the kingdom of God. In order to serve him aright, we must be born of the divine Spirit. This will purify the heart and renew the mind and give us a new capacity for knowing and loving God. It will give us willing obedience to all his requirements. This is true worship. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. But there the glorious Lord will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king, he will save us. And the inhabitants shall not say, I am sick. The people that dwell therein shall be forgiven their iniquity. Isaiah 33:20-24. Be ye glad and rejoice forever in that which I create, the Lord exhorts. For behold, I create Jerusalem a rejoicing, and her people a joy. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem, and joy in my people. And the voice of weeping shall be no more heard in her, nor the voice of crying. And they shall build houses and inhabit them. And they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit of them. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountains, saith the Lord. Isaiah 65:18-25.
Yep, not going to be any robbery there. Nobody breaking in, stealing, robbing, killing. You know, I want to be there, guys. I really do. I can't wait for my Father to come. When he do come, when the trumpet sound. And like I say, everybody will hear it. Everybody will hear when the trumpet sound. And ain't going to be like, everybody's going to hear it. This is going to be the loudest trumpet sound. The loudest you ever heard. It's not going to be this little secret thing going to happen. I heard somebody tell me 64 people was raptured. You know, really? Come on, guys. You know, we got to stop letting people deceive us, okay? I have to read the word, study the word. So we're going to go ahead and end the video now, people. Buy my ebook titled He Did What from Amazon, Apple, Google, Kobo, Lulu, Barnes & Noble. Also, you can go there and search by ISBN number. It should be listed for $2.99. If you want the paperback, you have to write me at marner.campbell@gmail.com, and I'll be glad to send you a copy that you can read and share and keep on your shelf or whatever. But we know that all the contributions and donations that come in go to the ministry. That was just a thing we wanted to do for the ministry. So you can also go to the Son of Man Bible and get a free download there. If you want to download Jean's free e-Bible from Lulu, Scripty, fmcmi.org. You can download free at BibleSupport.com and WordModulars.com. King James Version Bible, you can download there as well. One modular is the SOTV KJV. One has the Apocryphal SOTV KJVA. We really want to thank you for all your offerings to help the homeless, the orphans, the widows, the stressed pastors, and those that need in mission fields. May Yahuwah richly bless each and every one of you for your giving and your support. FMCMI alternative channels are Rumble, BitChute, Facebook, fmcmi.org, and also Lincoln. Other donation options at the website. Also at PayPal, you can go to PayPal and donate. You can mail in your donations at Fill My Cup Ministries, Post Office Box 414, Canon City, Colorado 81215. Shipping address is Fill My Cup Ministries, 1501 Main Street, number 414, Canon City, Colorado 81212. Click subscribe to the like bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the like button, click the notification bell. Our digital business cards are on the screen and our hashtags are on the screen. And I have an announcement I have to make right now. I want to let you guys know, you know God is our strength and our power, and He maketh our way perfect. He's such a wonderful God. Always be looking after your homeless people in your communities. And when we are afraid, we put our trust in you, Father. Psalm 56:3. And then also the Sabbath is coming. We almost need to know all the disciples and all of them, and Paul and all of them guys kept the Sabbath. I love this one here. I love the seventh day Sabbath, Shabbat of Yahuwah. Me too, Shabbat, Shalom to all who are resting His peace, His rest. But I wanted this all the way come here and let you know, we did do a drawing for Feast of Trumpets that just passed. We did a selection of a winner, and I was so happy to know that my sister over in California from the women's ministry, Pastor Carol Love, have won the prize pack, and she is really an amazing woman of God. And we was glad that she's doing a little better, because she was on an accident and had 3 ribs kind of damaged and everything, so she's doing a little better now. So I just thought the Lord must want to cheer her up, because I said I never pulled her name before, and all the time we had the ministry. So I'm so happy for you, Pastor Love. We love you so much. So we're going to go ahead and end the video, guys. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat, and we really want you guys to have a wonderful Shabbat. I'm going to let my husband go ahead and pray here. Let me go ahead and see what I can. Yeah, we just did trumpets, and we're going to be going into... Yom Kippur, Yom Kippur, and then after that, Tabernacles. So, but we're going to go ahead and let you end with prayer, close out with prayer. And we really hope you guys enjoyed your Feast of Trumpets. We had a wonderful Feast of Trumpets. I think if you saw my video, you can tell we had a wonderful Feast of Trumpets. So, go ahead and you can just do the prayer for me.
Father, we do thank you for everybody who gets to view the video. We thank you for all our supporters and our prayer partners, Father. Thank you for all your missionaries you got working around the world, Father. Thank you for all the help we get here in the ministry. It's just amazing what you're accomplishing here at the end. Father, help us to stay true to you and to your word. Help us to walk in your covenant, Father. We love you. Give you all the praise and the glory. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen, amen, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat. And I hope you guys, I'll be back with another video when I can. But have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat. And have a happy Sabbath. And we love you guys. We'll see you on another video. Love you so much. So we're going to say Shabbat Shalom early. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.